Hey there, Delmarva. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to CoastLife. We are your hosts. I'm Paige Marley.
I'm Leah Rizzo. And if you haven't ever joined us before, you know, maybe you're visiting this week, or maybe you're visiting for the summer, or maybe you just moved here and you don't know what we're all about. Basically, what we do is we tell you all the cool things going on. We introduce you to cool people, cool places, and we basically just welcome you to Delmarva's Coast.
Yes, we're your one-stop shop. Whatever you need to know about Delmarva's Coast, you're going to find out about right here on this blue couch.
But before we dive into all of that, we also like to just kind of catch up, talk about what you're talking about. And if you haven't been talking about this yet, we weren't sure if we wanted to bring this up, but we finally decided to just jump right in. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Have you heard about this? When the billionaires have nothing better to do but fight each other, you know that we're living in crazy times.
This is so exciting. And there's been an update. So at first, I think this was a little just, everyone's fighting. You got Logan Paul or Jake Paul,
He was the one that started that.
Fighting everyone. Yeah, and it's almost kind of become a cool thing where it's very sportsman-like and everything's fine. But yeah, I think it started as a joke. And now the Coliseum wants to host the fight.
Yes, the Coliseum in Rome wants to host this fight.
This is awesome.
I feel like you would be crazy not to.
You have to.
But they have to be suited up like proper gladiators. Like that's the only way I'm going to be interested in watching this fight. Because like generally two billionaires like slapping each other, I don't really, not interested.
No.
But if they dress as gladiators in the Coliseum and people get to like thumbs up or thumbs down them,
That'd be
now it's a little more interesting. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just so happy I live in this time period. This time right here where Zuckerberg and Musk can fight in the Coliseum. We're so lucky.
Well, see, hold that thought, because we're also living in a time period where they just sold the world's smallest handbag for $63,000.
We were doing so good.
We were doing so good.
How small is this handbag?
Smaller than a grain of salt. It's based off a Louis Vuitton bag. Based off of. Louis Vuitton actually doesn't have anything to do with this handbag. It's microscopic. From what I can tell, it's yellow. And it's basically like a cake sprinkle. Like that's the size of the handbag. I think it is a piece of modern art. It's on display in a museum somewhere, but you do need a microscope to see it.
Okay, so this is great news for us. I'm gonna go get us some sprinkles and salt, and we're gonna sell it for $63,000 a piece.
Right, but just like,
if anyone asks, it's a Dolce bag. Like,
just imagine you spent $63,000 on this teeny tiny handbag, and all of a sudden you're cleaning your house, and there it goes. It's in the vacuum cleaner.
Or you're making chicken in your salt shaker, and you're like, oh, drop some, and then you ate $63,000.
$63,000, and you might never know. You would never know that it's gone.
So at least someone can just give you a grain of salt and be like, oh, here, I found it.
Right. There you go. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. What would you spend $63,000 on, like, designer-wise? Anything specific?
Designer-wise?
Yeah, like, would you spend $63,000 on any sort of designer art bag?
Honestly, probably not.
Same.
I'm going with like land.
I would spend $63,000 to go to the Coliseum and see Zuckerberg and Musk fight. I would save up for that.
There we go. We've got our plans for $63,000.
Yes. Place your bets.
And one more thing before we kind of jump into our show here. This was a question that kind of came up as we were looking for things to talk about today. What is something that maybe was normal in your household growing up, but actually you got like out in the world and it turns out nobody else does that, just you and your family?
I do still remember going to my friend Alexis's house in middle school, and we were eating ice cream. And I was like, "Hey, got any milk?" And she gave me some big thing of milk, and I poured it over the ice cream. And she was like, "What are you doing?" And that's just how we ate ice cream in my house.
It's still weird. I remember the first time you said that, and I was like, huh?
I thought it was so good. I think it may have started as a way for my mom to like make sure we got more calcium growing up. But it really is good if you pour milk over your ice cream. And I can't eat just regular ice cream anymore. Yeah. What about you?
Probably lots of things, honestly. But I remember hair ties. What do you call a hair tie?
A hair tie.
That's, I think, what a lot of people called them growing up, except for me. I remember I was in like first grade, I think, and like the first time I had to ask somebody to borrow a hair tie, I was like, "Can I borrow a hair bobber?"
That's so cute. A hair bobber.
That's just what my mom called them. Yeah, hair bobbers. Because like scrunchies were kind of their own separate thing. Like scrunchies were like the big 90s, 80s, 90s scrunchies. And so like that was a scrunchie. But a regular like hair tie, or the ones that had the little like plastic thingies on the end, those were hair bobbers, the dangerous weapons.
Oh, I definitely got a couple bruises, hit a couple teeth. Oh yeah, those were tough.
Hanging those things around, yeah.
You know what I still embarrass myself doing? Calling blankets boinkies.
Boink.
Boinkies. Because my nieces call it that, and so this is a fairly new thing. For a year and a half now, I can't I will be talking to a professional and I'll be like, oh, and then this blankie, and then, oh, my parents do it. My dad will be like, hey, go get me a blankie.
Yeah.
You can't stop.
I guess that's one too. Like we never were really like baby talk people in the house when we were kids.
Yeah.
But as we got older, my mom would be like, "Oh, you guys want some snackies?" So like we would go get snacks and shopping and putting all this stuff. And I remember because I have an older brother, and all of his like teenage friends would be hanging out. So you'd have all these like big football playing boys, and they'd be like, "Let's go get some snackies. You guys want some snackies? Let's go."
Yes.
So like to this day, whenever I'm packing for a trip, I'm like, "Oh, we got to stop and get snackies, you guys."
Yep. No baby talk until the grandbabies came along, and now we're all just talking wankies and pacifiers or bappies. It's a whole mess.
And that's it.
It's
game over.
It really is.
But as always, we have an awesome show planned for you. I hope you're hungry because Crust and Craft is coming in and they're bringing along some tasty snacks.
And as always, every week we have your Get Home Safely tip with Seaside Krav Maga in Lewis.
And harness racing. Have you ever heard of it? It's going to be the latest, very unique sport joining our friends with Delmarva Sports Network. All that and more is headed your way with more CoastLife.
CoastLife is brought to you by BB Healthcare, Coastal Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning, Preston Automotive Group, and Shell Brothers.
Summer is here. That means the kiddos are out of school and they may be looking for something to do. How about reading? One of our favorite activities. I know I loved being read to as a kid. And joining us on the CoastLife couch this afternoon is an author, Maria Hazard. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So you have our book here.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the book you wrote, the characters, the story. What are readers going to find inside?
Okay. The book is called The Adventure of Paul Bear. It's about a little boy who actually lives in Alaska with his parents. They're on an expedition. Something happens. Not going to tell you what happens.
A little teaser.
A little teaser. And he ends up getting separated from his parents. Once he gets separated from his parents, he gets adopted by an unusual family of polar bears. So he ends up having being raised by these polar bears. And then eventually he decides, you know what, I want to be brave and I want to go out and go find my family.
Ooh, this is exciting.
I know.
I love this.
So what was sort of the inspiration? It's a very unique set of circumstances, unique characters. How did this story come about?
So it was just a matter of me. I've been an educator for 25 plus years, always have loved to read with children. And my husband is the one that inspired me to say, hey, why don't you just make your own book?
Yeah.
It's something that we do, is a passion of mine. I read with my kids all the time. And so that's where it started from. And then he gave me the idea of, hey, how about a boy who gets raised by a polar bear?
Fun.
Oh, that's so sweet. So this was kind of the idea, was a conjoined effort with you and your husband.
Yes.
That's so cool. That makes it maybe that much more special for you.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Very special.
Yeah,
That's
a lot
so
of love
sweet.
going into that.
Right. Yeah. So can you get this book locally? If not, where can people pick it up?
Yes, so they can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online. And then usually I'm at a book fair or two. It's actually in the Milford Public Library as well as the Georgetown Library and the Seaford Library. So if anybody is looking for something to do in the summer, it's always good to read to our kids in the summertime. It's always a good way to bond.
Yeah.
So they're able to reach out and get it there as well.
It really truly is one of my favorite childhood memories. When I comb back through my mind, my mom read stories to us all the time before bed, and it really was such a special way to bond throughout the years.
Definitely. And so who would you recommend this story is for, age-wise, just demographic-wise?
I would recommend, if it's a read aloud for pre-K, kindergarten, once they start getting into reading on their own, it's a good book for pre-K to second grade.
Nice.
Read aloud during a pre-K time, and then on their own, probably about first grade.
Okay. And I know you said you're an educator.
Yes.
So just talk to us too, the importance that you've seen when it comes to getting kids involved in reading and really falling in love with it.
Yes, it all starts with that listening, of just beginning to love reading. Reading to your kids all the time. It does so much. Reading helps with communication. It helps with language building. It helps with just cognitive and everything. So that's one important key. Keys like reading is the building block to everything else, right? Even people don't even realize that even in math and science and things like that, having that reading literacy kind of jumpstarts everything else. So reading to your kids is the fundamental thing to do. It does bring togetherness. as well. You know, putting your child on your lap and being able to read with them is such a wonderful thing to do. You know, having them read back to you and building that language and building that vocabulary. It's just something that everyone should do at least 10 to 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, definitely.
And I see we've got some friends here too.
We do. We have.
Do you find that they are helpful tools sometimes in getting kids excited about reading?
Yes, they all usually when I set up, they usually straight go for that. It's like, no, but if you read the book, or you know, even things like, you know, where would you find the bear? Would you find it in Alaska? Would you find it in, you know? So they're good talking points to kind of get the kids kind of interested. Yeah.
Very cool. It kind of brings their characters to life.
Yes, absolutely.
And is there anything else that you hope that readers, but maybe both young and old, get out of the adventures of Paul Bear?
Yes. First thing is you can find love in any, you know, a family can be anywhere. You can build that love anywhere. They don't have to look like you in order for you to be a family. That's first and foremost. And then the importance of just being brave. You know, I may not know, but you know what? I'm going to be brave and I'm going to go out there and do this thing. You know, so
Very great lessons for kids in a fun way that they won't even maybe realize they're learning.
And a good reminder for adults too, I think.
Yes.
You read them to those kids, you're like, oh,
Yes.
Paul's got a point. Well, Maria, one more time, where is your book available so that people can get a hold of it for some summer reading?
So they're available on Amazon, online on Amazon, or on Barnes & Noble online as well.
Perfect.
And then in your local libraries.
Yes. Well, thank you so
great.
much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere because we've got more stories to share when Coast Life gets back.
Here on Coast Life, we are always introducing you to really cool people, but also delicious, amazing food. That's why today we have Charlie and Michael with us on the Coast Life couch. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So these two are with Crust and Craft. If you haven't been, why haven't you been?
We pass it all the time.
All the time. Yes.
Every time on the way home, you're like, ooh, crust and crab.
I literally do pass it and I'm like, oh, I had dinner at home, but look at this. You know, that's what I'm saying. So tell us first, if people haven't gone yet, why do they need to go to Crust and Craft?
I mean, right off the bat, I think we're some of the best wood oven pizza in the area. You know, it just came out the other day that we just got best gourmet pizza 3rd year in a row. So
Congratulations.
I mean, thank you. I appreciate it. So definitely team effort. It takes all of us. You know, takes a village. But yeah, definitely some of the best pizza. But we do more than pizza. You know, there's other food in there that is just amazing. The cocktails are amazing.
Yeah.
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere, beerless staff in general. We have really good energy there. So definitely have to come on in.
Definitely. I think I remember when I first moved here, you know, I live kind of near Crust and Craft, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's a pizza place. And everyone was like, no, this isn't a delivery standard pizza place. Right. And we were talking earlier too, you mentioned something about brunch.
Yeah, so every last Sunday of the month, we do a thing called Brunch Club. And we have a DJ come out. His name's DJ Zed. And we do a little couple brunch items. And we have like a DJ playing music. Everyone comes out, really good music. Everyone's like kind of dancing. We have a nice Bloody Mary bar.
Huge Bloody Mary bar, mimosa bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a lot of fun. You know, I put out some brunch specials. My sous chef, James Jones, he puts out some great omelets. Like his thing's omelets. He puts out some really good ones, let me tell you. So it's definitely a lot of fun. So you definitely, you guys should come out. Anybody should really come out. It's a good time.
We don't turn down pizza and mimosas.
Never. And I mean, this is award-winning pizza. So what goes into making it some of the best pizza in town?
Actually, I really dug into detail about it. You know, when I took over Crust and Craft for Soto Concepts, it was definitely a challenge for me. I really had to study. I got a lot of books, read into how to make the dough better, you know, and it was a process. So it was a lot of trial and error, you know. It was a lot of stress sometimes. I would make a big batch of dough and it wasn't good. And, you know, you just got to go back. So it takes a lot of time, but you know, once I got it down, it was then teaching everyone else how to make it also. You know, so once we got it down, it you know, we just kept perfecting it to the best we can, you know, and it came out great. And we're like very happy with our product. Like we really are. We get so excited when we see some of these pizzas come out because it's like, wow, we're doing this, you know, so it's great. definitely great.
Yeah. And so you guys are a local company, right? So what does it mean to you to be serving local people on Delmarva and creating, like you said earlier, that nice atmosphere?
It's the sense of community, especially for me, just seeing same people, once a week, twice a week, just creating friendships, creating regulars, things like that, giving, people are coming out to spend their money. We want to give them the best possible, experience they can. And I think that kind of drives through with Sodell, like with Sodell Cares, our community aspect with it, we're giving back, trying to make the world a better place too, along with pizza and some cocktails.
I think people have some of their best moments over food and drink.
Right.
That's like really it, though. It's like, you're creating memories for people. It is quite amazing. Like when you have great service, great food, how many people will come back just in 1 week? You see people literally 3 times a week, and it's amazing to see because it's like they come not only just for the food and service, they come to see you because you're building that bond with them, and they love coming in. It's great. It definitely is a great feeling.
But we mentioned it on the way home. It's like, well, just stop in and grab a pizza really quick. Right. Go ahead.
Oh, you had talked about ingredients as well. Where do a lot of your ingredients come from?
So, one of the biggest things we like to do is use our local farms and stuff like that. So right now, past couple of months we've been using Evans Farm, and they're great. We've been using strawberries from them.
Nice.
I just got corn from them. They have nice green tomatoes from them, so that's great. And
Some
then
fresh watermelon.
fresh
Got some right
watermelon,
here.
yeah. And then now we're gonna start doing Bennett's. Just got their peaches out, first batch. We just got it in the restaurant, so we're gonna do a couple specials with that. He got cocktails in mind, so it's great. I think using the local farms, nothing's better than local produce. It really, it's great.
That's really cool. So to emphasize then, so there's local produce in both the drinks and the food.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's, one thing where we can transcend the food, but also with the cocktails, using the same fresh local ingredients, getting back to basic with cocktails too. At the end of the day, we are serving some pizza, so you don't need anything too crazy, but being able to use, fresh watermelon, fresh jalapenos, fresh lime, just things like that kind of.
It elevates everything.
It does.
Takes it to the next level.
It does. So, hey, if we're talking about this, can we try it?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go to a commercial break real quick.
Yes.
We'll come back and then just take our word for it. We'll tell you how delicious all this food is. So don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss what's next. CoastLife, where we are back with Charlie and Michael from Crust and Craft. We told you all the amazing ingredients inside their drinks and their food, so we're going to put it to the test. But first, I just want to know, can you tell us what you brought us today, what's in it, a little history behind all this?
All right, so first off, we got the grandma pie. Grandma pies are deep dish pizza that we serve over at Crust and Craft. Very good. It's different from all our pizzas. All our other pizzas are 12-inch pizzas. So this right here, we simply, do our pizza sauce on the bottom, our cheese blend, which consists of 5 different cheeses, and then we do our grandma sauce, which is like a chunkier tomato sauce on top. Hit it with some basil. We do Parmesan cheese. We do ricotta on top of it, and that's our fresh ricotta. We make that in house.
Oh my gosh!
So and we also put the fresh ricotta with our beet salad, which consists of a apple cider vinaigrette, of course, beets, onions, and apples. The fresh ricotta is really great. It's easy to make, and it really just brings really good flavor to all the dishes.
Yeah.
Watching you guys kind of put everything together, you keep thinking they're done,
right?
And then they just add more fresh ingredients.
And we were like, this is what it must be like to be a princess.
Yes, looks so good.
Amazing food.
And I couldn't imagine that being 12 inches. It'd be way too much. That's a big pizza.
Yeah, most people that order that usually get like 1, maybe 1.5 bites in, and they're like, all right, we're gonna take the rest home. And the best part about this, when you reheat it at home, it's so good. It's a good reheat.
Because that can be a challenge for pizza.
That's
all pizza does not reheat the same.
Yes. All right, and what are we pairing with it today?
Today we have our watermelon jalapeno margarita. So we take fresh watermelon, fresh jalapenos, let those infuse with some tequila for a couple days, bring out all the flavors with that. We make a fresh watermelon puree, so that's just very simple with watermelon, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of water. And then, of course, to make it fun, because we are crust and craft, that's the rock candy that you remember as a kid.
Yeah.
Broke it down and made a little watermelon sugar rim.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, well, let's get set up and let's try some of this. Yes, girl.
Let's do this.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I got really messy.
That is amazing. And you're right, all the fresh ingredients, you can really taste the difference. And
Yeah.
those little toppings.
This is so good.
Oh yeah.
I'm good.
Here I was thinking we were taking like one bite. We're like, we'll never finish this. And
Are you kidding? Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To a great summer.
Yes,
Link,
cheers
definitely.
to a great summer.
Oh my gosh.
The freshness of that watermelon.
Yes.
It's just amazing.
What a difference.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you get that little tiny bit of spice at the end.
I was just gonna say the jalapeno is not overwhelming at
Yeah.
all. So we're gonna finish pizza. Then do you want to share this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, but just go to Crust and Craft afterwards. Otherwise, we'd share with you.
Yes, with the freshness
Yes.
of everything you're going to find there.
That's right. But it's not dinner time yet, so just hold off. We have more CoastLife on the way.
You're watching CoastLife, and it is the beginning of a new month. Here we are, early July.
Can you believe it? June flew by.
It really seriously did, but it didn't fly by so fast that we can't stop and take a moment to reflect on all of the wonderful moments that we had this past month. So we're going to get into that in just a little bit. Do you have any moments that are sort of standing out as a favorite yet?
You know what's funny is my first thing that came to my mind was you parasailing and doing jet skis. So it wasn't even anything I was there for, but it was so fun to see, you know, it really kind of marked the beginning of summer on Delmarva. Parasailing, jet skis, water sports. That was with Delmarva, or Dewey Water Sports.
Yep.
So that was.
And Dewey Beach Parasail.
Yep,
Yeah,
that
those
was a
were two.
blast.
And they were really, really fun. So we won't pick too many favorites just yet. Let's dive into our favorite moments from June.
Taco.
Cat.
It was a groundhog.
Was the groundhog. Yes. What a view!
So, Miss Barb, what is your ideal weekend with you and the family?
Oh, my whole family being here, children and the next generation grandchildren. Games, playing ball on the beach, kite shop, riding bikes 8 miles a day, eating at these wonderful seafood places by the ocean, and sitting looking at that tranquil ocean is our favorite.
When I did the weather Saturday and Sunday, I literally did the weather. Didn't stumble one bit. 2 days. Because I was auditioning for news. All right? News!
We got fireworks for New Year's Eve, and we might use some of those.
Wow, you kept them this long?
Yeah.
Okay.
That looks good, and I'll just kind of make a little nest. Yeah. I saw that episode of I Love Lucy with the chocolate factory, and
Turn out to be.
Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining us. You're watching CoastLife. We are your hosts. I'm Paige Marley.
I'm Leah Rizzo, and before we even jump into the show today, because otherwise I'm going to be like self-conscious about it all day.
Tell us about the safari you're going on.
That's what exactly.
Well, Gavin William Burrell.
No, that was 100% right.
This was delicious. I love all the flavors, all the colors. You definitely did the darn thing right there.
Thank you.
I can't stop laughing watching that. That was so fun. Do you have a favorite moment?
Gosh, there really are a lot to choose from. I think our family game night is really fun with our friends at Kids Catch and Tide Pool Toys. That I was so bad at that game at Taco Cheese Cat Pizza. I think I got that order
like
right,
that.
but I might not have. But the cows at Hopkins Creamery were also just so sweet. Even the one that tried to eat my hair.
They loved you.
We were besties.
Yeah, they thought you were a tasty treat.
Make sure you can go visit them at Hopkins Creamery
Yes.
and join us for more fun that we're going to have every month right here on CoastLife exploring coastal Delmarva. But don't go anywhere because we're still going to get you home safe and more with CoastLife when we get back. Here on CoastLife, you know that we love supporting local broadcasting, so we are going to introduce you to a fellow someone in the biz on the CoastLife couch, Heather Vitale, joining us from Post Time. So many people have probably watched your show, but as more people come and move to the area, could you describe Post Time a little bit for maybe some new coastal Delmarva residents?
Post Time show, first of all, it's been on the air for 25 years. It started July 1998, which is...
Okay, so we're coming up on an anniversary.
Yes, it's so exciting. And it's a show about harness racing locally. So we cover racing from Bally's Dover, Harrington Raceway, Ocean Downs. And the one thing I'm super proud about the show is that it's not just like a racing recap show. We have educational features, personality profiles. We do a lot of fun things, things that have to do with horse anatomy. So even if you're not into horse racing, if you have a horse or even know what a horse is, you probably will love the show.
There's something for everybody on there, which I love. And especially harness racing is something that maybe you haven't heard of. So describe a little bit what harness racing is as a sport, as a culture. Let's dive into that.
Okay, so there's two types of horse racing that people know about. So there's thoroughbred racing and there's standardbred racing. Well, standardbred racing is harness racing. And basically, it's when you have a two-wheeled vehicle, and some people call it chariots.
Sure.
You know? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But they're called bikes, race bikes, and you hook them onto a harness of a horse, and a driver sits behind the horse, and they go at speeds of 30 miles an hour.
Wow. I think that's something we were talking about earlier is you had said harness racing. I'm like, wait a minute, what is that? But then I Googled it. I'm like, oh, chariot. You know, so that's what I was thinking. So that's good to know that harness racing it's really cool. When you see it, you're like, oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah. So people can now watch the show on Delmarva Sports Network. Are you excited for that?
I'm so excited about that. So yeah, we've been on WBOC for 25 years since the beginning, and now we're going to be on Delmarva Sports Network, which it's a great fit for us because we are a sports show. And I'm really excited because I think it's going to reach a lot more people. You know, I know it's got a really young audience. There's so much interaction on the social media for DSN, and so we're excited, like really excited.
It's going to be really exciting. We had Ava in from DSN last week, and she was talking about all the cool stuff and unique sports that DSN covers. Not just the high school stuff, and especially when we get on into sort of the summer season and sort of the off season for high school sports. That's where another set of sports really gets to shine.
Yeah. And on top of that, I know that DSN live streams, and so again, like a lot of people have asked me, how do I see Post Time? Because because they're not right in front of their TV watching BOC at the time. And, you know, I do a couple things on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel for Post Time Show, but with the live streaming and then being able to go in and do a search for Post Time, like anybody really around the world now at any time, 24/7, can just pull up Post Time and then they can watch any episode. I'm so psyched. I'm so psyched.
Well, this is so cool, especially because, like we said earlier, you know, harness racing is something that I started learning about because you're here, but now I want to watch it so bad. My interest is peaked. So I can't wait. I have the DSN app to watch it.
And I think that's sort of the thing with some of these unique sports. Like you think, oh, I don't really know that much about it. It might get hard to get into. And I think that's where a show like Post Time, where you have educational programming and bits and things to really kind of hold people's hand as they get into a new sport. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's a really great show for people that don't know a lot about harness racing. You know, they're not going to sit there for half an hour and just watch a bunch of races go by. They are going to learn something. So we try to make it a show that if you already know about harness racing, that's great. You know, we want you to watch the show. You might learn something. Maybe you know everything that's happening in the half an hour, but that doesn't matter. You're still going to love it. And for people that are novices to the sport, they're definitely going to pick up something, you know, and we get to go behind the scenes, you know, like what's happening before the horse goes on the track, you know, and talk about the drivers and the trainers and and the horses are the stars of the sport, so we always love doing personality profiles on them.
Amazing. So when can people start to watch this on Post Time, on DSN? What events are coming up in the near future? Just let us know how we can tune in.
July 9th is when we will be on DSN. So we have 11:30 on Sunday, which is what it was on WBOC. So it's the same time, which I absolutely love. So 11:30 a.m. on DSN. I know. Coming up, well, actually this summer we're getting ready to switch tracks. So what happens is during the spring we're at Harrington Raceway. During the winter time we're at Bally's Dover. But then during the summer we actually have 5 weeks where we're Ocean Downs, which is in Berlin, Maryland.
Perfect.
And like Ocean Downs does so many incredible things. Actually, we'll be having on an upcoming show the recap of their camel ostrich races. So I know. They do. They have hot dog eating contests, wiener dog races. So it's not just horse racing. You know, whatever's happening at the track, we're covering it.
I love peacocks and hot dogs.
That is awesome. I was actually I was going to ask you, in your over 25 years of experience with Post Time, has there been anything that's really surprised you or a moment that you've just loved or never forgotten?
Yeah, it's so funny that you asked that because on the way here I was thinking, what's my favorite feature, Ben? And I thought that's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
This one.
But I can tell you anything that has to do with a horse. So recently we did have a horse that was one of our champion horses locally, and he's gone on to help adults and children that have everything from autism to anxiety. And so I love when horses, you know, they shine through on the racetrack and then people can see the magic of them on and off the track as well because they're just extraordinary animals.
They really are.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful animals.
Yes.
Heather, this has been so much fun. Thanks for coming in and talking about Post Time.
I'm so glad to be here and I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited about being on DSN.
Yes, we cannot wait to tune in.
Exactly.
Thank you.
July 9th, so don't forget it. But we've got more to get to with more Coast Life when we get back.
You know what time it is. Every week we show you get home safely tips with Seaside Krav Maga. These have been really interesting lately.
They are, and you know, the more that we've done these, the more potentially dangerous scenarios we kind of walk through. And the one that we're going to show you too, like you don't maybe realize how distressing and uncomfortable it is until even in a controlled, safe environment like you're at Seaside Krav Maga, you know those guys are protecting you, they are getting you out of a bad situation. But as soon as they lay you on the ground, because that's what they're going to show you today, is how to get out of that situation, you're like, oh my gosh, and there's sort of that panic starts to set in. And the more you know, the more you take these classes and the more you get with the idea but comfortable in your knowledge of how to respond to something like that, the more prepared you are just in case.
But it is a good idea too, if you're going to be feeling vulnerable like that, do it in a safe, protected place with professionals like Seaside Krav Maga. So take a look at this. This is our weekly tip with Seaside Krav Maga in Lewis.
This is about kicking. What happens if I get your foot? So you can obviously use the other foot, but if you make a C with your foot, I can't hold on. And then you're free to kick again. So just something to keep in mind. Just because my wrist can't handle that. Now get yourself some space. Yes, kick. See, one of the things is our adrenaline, we get too much space, the kick doesn't work. But I'm gonna be coming in, you're gonna keep doing what you're doing. One hand here, other hand on the other. Drive your elbows down hard to your chest. Yes. So that gets the choke off, get some space, get your foot in and start kicking. And if you hold on to one arm, I can't get to you, I can't get away. It's a terrible, as the predator, it's an awful position.
I mean, we talked a little bit before we showed you the tip about how just, again, jarring it is when they first kind of put you on the ground like that and you're like, whoa, like it's scary and you feel that sort of adrenaline rush, but like we talked about before, when you're in that safe, controlled environment, you do leave feeling empowered and you leave feeling more knowledgeable and more protected than you felt going into that scenario.
Definitely. And I love how they work with you to not just get out of it if it gets to that point, but to try to avoid getting to that point in general. So, paying attention to your surroundings, what to do before you're there. They really walk you through every step of hopefully what will never happen. But like Leah said, you feel so empowered knowing if it happens, you are good. So don't forget, you can watch these tips on our website, but you can also practice them in person with Chris and Ted at Seaside Krav Maga in Lewis. Don't go anywhere though. We have a lot more CoastLife on the way.
This segment of CoastLife was brought to you by Seaside Krav Maga.
All right, Delmarva, almost time to let you go, but we still have a couple things we need to talk about, like the burning question. Who are you betting on, Zuckerberg or Musk? Personally, I'm betting on Musk.
You're going with Musk, huh?
I am. I know it's an unpopular opinion.
I mean, I respect the underdog. I really do. And I just don't want to have to pick one. But I think the common sense part of me is telling me Zuckerberg. I mean, he's got all the Brazilian jiu-jitsu training. Like, he's brushed up. And as much as you want to believe that, like, I could take that. Like, I could walk in the ring and just, take him out. You can't. If you don't have that kind of training, you can't. You're not going to win.
I just think Zuckerberg, with that training, has rules. And Elon's going in with no rules. Like, he's just going to go in.
That's true. He plays by a whole different set of rules than everybody else. So he might come out the victor. I really don't know. But
I hope this happens so bad. Only in the Coliseum.
Only in the Coliseum. Otherwise, we're not interested.
No. We have a lot more to get to, not today, but tomorrow we'll be back. We're going to show you an adoptable pet. Make sure you tune into that.
And we'll be taking a trip to a local theater.
And we're going to do some shopping. So we have a lot more to get to. Not just that, even more. We can't list it all right now. You're going to have to come back tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Hang out with us.
Exactly. All right. Well, right now, though, hang out with WRDE Coast TV. They're up next. We'll see you tomorrow.